Hi, welcome to this week's bonus clip. I've been joined by Neil Keego Keegan as we record this as part of our wrap pod following the Leinster v Ulster match, which you'll find on Apple, Spotify, and all the other usual places. Last week, we looked back at 2023, so I guess it makes sense this time around to look ahead to the year to come. And first of all, here's where I want to share on the screen this amazing photo from the RDS taken by Ramsey Cardy. As a Leinster fan, I may not be happy with the result, but putting that aside and given the day that was in it, the stars literally aligned for Ramsey here as Dave Ewers, Rob Herring, and Kieran Treadwell provided a perfect New Year's snap. Anyway, on the subject of 2024, Keego, we'll start with the men's Six Nations, and that kicks off with Ireland going back to Paris to play France. I mean, that promises to be some battle.
We haven't had an easy draw in any tournament in the last 6 months in the big jersey. But listen, to win it, you got to beat the best, and you got to welcome and relish the challenge of taking on the best. I don't think they fancy our visit, but it's a pity Dupont is off doing sevens. Great for the sevens game, but we want them at their best, and we want to take them on at their best when we are playing our best. So I can't wait. The jersey's clean and ready to go on.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're going to talk about that tournament, you literally can't say anything about it until that game is over. That it's the first game. It's the Friday night of the first weekend, and pretty much everything that happens after that is going to be dependent on how that game goes. It literally could go either way. You've got two teams very pissed off about how that World Cup went for them, and it's talk about back to the scene of the crime, and a chance to put it behind them. So there's so much riding on that. It's going to be an amazing start. So really looking forward to that. Of course, and we mustn't forget the under-20s as well will be playing around the same time, looking for their third Grand Slam in a row, and it's another batch coming off the conveyor belt, and so we always look forward to that as well. And just moving on, the subject of Six Nations, there's also the Women's Six Nations, which now takes part after the men's. Of course, the women's rugby has gone through a lot of changes, and for Ireland over the years, they've got this new tournament now called the Celtic Challenge. We'll see some matches from that over January. They've kind of made up two teams. They're called the Clovers and the Wolfhounds. The Wolfhounds is Leinster and Ulster. The Clovers are Munster and Connacht, sort of combined teams. We'll see how they go. Those two teams played each other there just before New Year's, and they've a few more matches during the week. So that during the month of January, so that sort of works as a trial for the Six Nations. So those games are all live on Rugby Pass, so they're worth checking out, and we'll give the women our full support as well this year. So of course, then when that's all done, it's back to business for Leinster. We'll have a couple of matches during the Six Nations, but when that's done and dusted, we'll be looking at the business end of the season, and hopefully things might go a little better than last year.
Yeah, absolutely, and I do love what they're doing with the women's game. But moving forward to Leinster, I feel now it's time to make the peace pact, Jeff. I feel I'm going to reach across the divide to a land where they still have dial-up, two TV channels. One of them is in black and white. They both finish at 11 p.m. They all watch the Angelus. My Munster brothers and sisters, I am extending a hand of friendship from the future, from Dublin 4, where we have electricity, for us to be friends this year. Whenever we see each other, we can buy each other pints, wash your hands, we can handshake, and let's exchange. We'll give you soap, you give us Murphy's, and we can do that cross-border friendship that we need to build going into 2024.
But they'll still take that drop goal at the end of the game if they get the chance again at the Aviva. But fair play to you anyway. No, listen, it's I mean, Leinster literally came within a point in both competitions last year, and so like, what more can we do this year? But in terms of expectations, but there's a lot to factor into it, as that Ulster game showed us.
Yeah, there's a lot we need to. There's a lot of improvements. So us having this chat same time last year, the vibe was very different. Whereas now we kind of see, right, there's a couple of things that are starting to come through, but we can't lose what made Leinster Leinster. So obviously they'll be tightening up certain things as we see around breakdowns and things like that. But we need to keep this Leinster ethos going, Leinster jitsu, offensive, defense, all that sort of stuff. We need to make sure no one fancies a shot. Now we played La Rochelle and played them well, but you see what's happening to them over in France. So, it's all relative. But I think we need to improve. By the time we get out of the Six Nations and the lads are back We need to be operating at our 85, 90%, and nobody wants to see a blue jersey.
Absolutely. And then, of course, when the domestic season is done and dusted now, we have 2 tests down in South Africa, and that's another bit of score settling to do there. I mean, of course, we all know how the World Cup went, so we're going to the home of the reigning world champions, but they haven't had it their own way against us in recent times, so they'll be interesting games.
Absolutely, they won't fancy a green jersey either. I know that they've got that kind of when the chips are down, they're very good cup rugby playing team. But again, like you're playing France, the opening of the Six Nations, we're going to their backyard. This is all part of building up our armor, exercising demons of the past, and moving forward. And a lot of things are going to happen between now and then. Players are going to come through. If Billy Burns keeps moving the way he's moving, then he's in the shop window. All hail the king who has moved on. We need a new king. So let's see how we get on.
Definitely. And then just a quick shout out to the Irish Sevens programs, which has been doing really well. There's men's and women's. They've been taking part in the World Series Sevens. They got off to decent starts towards the end of the year. They'll be playing, I think, in Australia the next leg at the end of January. And there's a few more tournaments up until the Olympics, which they both qualified for, and that's in Paris at the end of July. So best of luck to them. And then, of course, in the back of our minds as well, now we're going to start thinking about our Lions selection. I think we know that, of course, that's 2025 down in Oz. A lot of talk that Andy Farrell is probably going to be the coach, so we'll all be no doubt we'll all be picking our teams and picking on one of the 4 nations and leaving them out and putting those teams on Twitter and see how everyone reacts and all the usual crack.
I actually have one bet to make on the Lions coaching ticket. I think that's when our king returns. I think that's when Johnny Sexton comes back because I think. I remember Roy Keane talking about going back to coach a team that he's familiar with and played with, and it's difficult. I don't think he's going to come back before that. I think he's going to wait for a few more players to retire, and so he can kind of start fresh if he wants to come back. Now maybe he's shouting at people in boardrooms and he'll be fired. I don't know, but I do think Andy's going to start buttering him up. Midway through this season and kind of go, Johnny, how are you? I'll send you a tracksuit just to try on, see what it looks like. WhatsApp me the picture. And then he'll go, Genie Mac, it's very comfy. Do I get a whistle? And then it kind of starts from there. But I think that might be where we see him getting back involved in rugby. There's a bit of time elapsed from when he's hung up the boots, and he kind of has come to the realization that he's built different to everybody else. And maybe that's the kind of short-term 2-month gap, 2-month journey where he can go in and kind of see what coaching does for him.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, my next thing I was going to ask you to make a prediction of what something out of the blue that might happen in 2024. And I think that's it. I think you've done it, man. That could definitely happen. We'll see. If for my prediction, I was going to just do something that this definitely won't happen. I can see a world where when Leinster win, fans of other nations put it down to things like, I don't know, demographics and stuff like that. And then when Leinster lose, we find out everything that we're doing wrong each time, and we get told on Twitter that exactly what's wrong with this. And so when we win, we can't get it right. When we lose, we can't get it right. But I can't see that ever happening. It was an off the wall kind of suggestion. But anyway, listen, we'll see how they pans out. We're not experts here, so we might get that wrong.
Spoofers be spoofing, and that's what's going to happen. If they took as much joy in their own victory as our defeat, maybe they'd feel better about themselves. Shots fired.
There you go. Okay, listen, that's it for a bonus clip this week. Many thanks again for tuning in. And as ever, please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe whenever you can. And follow us on any or all of our social media channels.